Okay, so I've booted and rebooted my YouTube channel a couple times now, and I think I'm still trying to flesh out what the channel is going to be and the sort of content I want to produce. Um, and after experimenting a little bit with the Let's Play Castlevania things and my Linux install video, and then recording some uh, general work around the house that I've been doing, installing my windows and framing them up and doing outside work, and then also just ricing the Linux thing. I haven't been really happy with the content that I've produced, and I've kind of gone back and forth on what I want the channel to be. And I think the issue really is I felt like I was producing content for an audience that I didn't have, and so it's important for me to remember that I have no audience, and so the content I produce is kind of up to me. So I'm going to produce the content that I kind of enjoy. And I think at the heart of what I'm going to be producing are just facets of my life that I feel like have turned me into a more well-rounded person, and that has kind of helped me grow from kind of being a dependent and ineffectual young man into a capable and self-assured man. And I just kind of want to share some of that stuff with you guys. And so I think at the heart of becoming your own person, which is really what this is, are finding things outside of your 9-to-5 job, or outside of even your immediate friends and family and loved ones, that are uniquely yours, that kind of help build incremental successes, and by extension more self-esteem and more self-assuredness. And so what I'm going to be doing today, and kind of the topic of this video, is just learning how to take care of your body. And for some people out there, this might be really second nature. A little bit of history about myself. I've never been an especially athletic person. I've done the typical kid stuff growing up. I was in Little League. I swam a bit in high school. I'd go in the jungle gym and ride my bikes around with my buddies, and all that good stuff that most kids, I think, do. But I never would say that I was an extremely athletic person, or even an extremely large or intimidating person, as weird as that sounds. I've kind of had a weird relationship with my physicality, and for a long time I would consider myself really kind of scrawny, almost skinny fat, and weak. And it wasn't until maybe my mid-20s, early to mid-20s, when my brother-in-law gave me an opportunity to start working out at a gym he owned, and he kind of took me under his wing and trained me semi-personally. It was a CrossFit gym, so I was a part of some class stuff, and then I had some independent programming that he would do for me to kind of get me up to speed, because again, I could never really lift a whole lot. I still can't, but I couldn't even lift as much back then as I can now. And so over the years, on and off with strength training, I've kind of developed my own comfort under the bar. And really at the heart of that was never aesthetics, and it was never trying to be physically imposing or physically intimidating. It was really just a desire to be confident in my own physical capabilities. A couple of months ago, actually almost a year ago now, I went to a course on rifle usage and rifle safety, and just being in that environment as a 160-pound, 5'11" person, it kind of reopened my eyes to the importance of being physically capable. The men in that course were doing things that they were just handling themselves in a way that I couldn't, because I didn't have the physical stamina or muscle endurance to do it. And so that kind of shocked me back into an awareness. I want to be able to say, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can help you move. Yes, I can take care of my community or my students or my family in an emergency, and just have that confidence in my own body to move and be comfortable. And I think that's a really important skill. If for younger people watching this, one of my biggest regrets growing up is not taking physical training more seriously, especially during the point in your life when physical training is the most beneficial, as a late to early teenager up through your teen years and into your early 20s. That's when you're going to make the biggest strides in your physical capabilities. That's when your body peaks. I'm close to 33 now, and I can already feel my body starting to crest the hill, to put it mildly. Waking up a little bit more sore, recovering a little bit more slowly from injuries, not being as fast or as strong as I could be or used to be. But a solid workout regimen, strength training regimen, can help kind of alleviate that. So what I'm going to be doing today, and I'll just be filming some of this and talking intermittently throughout it. What I'm going to be doing today is I've kind of tweaked the traditional Wendler 5-3-1 program to suit my needs. I think typically in a 5-3-1 program is a 4-day week program where you train 1 week, sets of 5s, right? Hence the 5-3-1, sets of 5, and then the next week sets of 3, sets of 1. 1 day would be squatting with auxiliary exercises. The next would be bench press with auxiliary exercises, then deadlift with auxiliary exercises, and then finally press with auxiliary exercises. And the goal is after your 4-week cycle, your 3-week cycle, you hit a mini PR. So, do some research on Wendler 5-3-1. I think it's a great program, especially for intermediate lifters. What I'm going to be doing today is kind of not a hybrid, but a modification of that, where I do all 4 of the lifts in 1 day, and I do that 3 days a week. So today I'm going to be doing my sets of 5 in back squat, bench press, deadlift, and press. And then next week I'll be doing my 3 set, and then the following week I'll be doing my 1 set and hopefully PRing. I'm still nursing an injury that I self-imposed injury from a disc golf game several weeks ago. I should be pretty much back to my old training weights at this point. But we're going to take it, a little bit slow and do some lifts and, just talk shop. Okay, just finished my warm up on back squat. I start with the empty bar, 5 reps on that, which is 45 pounds. Then 5 reps on 95 pounds, 5 reps on 115 pounds, and 3 reps on 135. Now I'm going to be moving into my working set, which is going to be 3 sets, 5 reps each. First weight I'm going to be doing is 150 pounds, second weight 170 pounds, and third and final set is going to be 195 pounds. Now again, I'm not a power lifter, I'm not a strength trainer. This is just a hobby of mine. It's not what I do by trade. So, if you're looking for extremely heavy weightlifting, go to the myriad of YouTube channels that offer that sort of content. This is mostly just to document what I'm doing and provide you a little bit of insight on why I do it and maybe why you guys would like doing it too. So, time to hit the back squat for my working sets. So that set, that last one, which way did it go? 195 by 5. In this heat, at my level of recovery, that felt rough. I'm pretty far below where my 5RM is. I think if we're speaking historically, my 5RM is, I want to say, either 235 or 245 by 5. I can't quite remember. And obviously this is like 30 to 40 pounds lighter than that. The most recent PR I had by 5 was 225, this is still 30 pounds below that. This was manageable. I think I could probably do 215 relatively easy. I'm kind of unsure if I would be at 225, so still a little below where I was prior to my knee injury, but the recovery's there, and pretty sure I'll get there in pretty short order. Anyway, some things I really like about strength training. First of all, I'm absolutely in love with the back squat. That's by far my favorite movement of the 4 that I do. Again, that's back squat, bench press, deadlift, and press. I like back squat the most. I know some people are like, never skip leg day, and then they skip leg day, and you see these weird looking guys walking around when they got the traps up to their ears. They're all bulky, they don't have a neck. But they got these little chicken legs because they never do anything with them. It's odd. Anyway, I love the feeling of being under a heavy barbell. And I know this is relatively light, but as a novice trainer or as a recreational trainer, it feels pretty heavy. Anyway, I like the feeling of being under a heavy barbell, and I like the almost meditative aspect of weightlifting. I was reading a study not too long ago where the central claim was that strength training, high weight, low repetition, isn't so much as a muscular training as much as it is a neurological training. And in the study, they found that, again, these numbers are estimate, that the average untrained person, off the street, off the couch, can recruit about 30% of their muscle fibers for a given task. So if your given task is back squat, and the primary muscles you're using are your quadriceps, your quads, your hamstrings, and your stabilizers, your posterior chain and your abs, you can recruit about 30% of the given muscle fibers in those muscle chains to recruit for the task. The average trained person, who've been doing it for a while, can recruit about 50%, and elite athletes can recruit about 70%. And so I think one of the aspects I really like about strength training over like bodybuilding, which would be high repetition, low weights, how they put on the physique mostly, is that you really have to find a nice mental spot to be when you're under load and you're pushing through it neurologically, because your muscles can handle it. 195, that's not a whole lot of weight. The average untrained man physically could probably do it. The reason why they can't is twofold. Number one, they don't have the form or the technique down. They just don't know how to balance the bar and how to get into a squat position. It might be a mobility issue too. Their hips might be too tight, their ankles might be too tight, they might have knee problems, whatever the case may be. But the second one, the one I'm addressing, is they don't have the mental training or the mental fortitude to recruit their muscle fibers in order to complete the lift successfully. And so it becomes a sort of exercise in Zen, as weird as that sounds. And it's, as a musician, it's pretty similar to finding that flow state when you're performing music, where you can kind of view yourself in third person and be removed from what's going on in a strictly logical or analytical sense, and kind of be more present in the moment and in the spiritual sense, if that makes sense. It's really, really cool. It's really fun. And I get that out of back squat more than I get that out of any other lift. It's great. Now, I'm on to bench press. So I'm going to take the bar down. I'm going to put it a little bit lower, set up my bench. The bench press shouldn't be an issue. I'm only going up to I think 135 today, which is like hardly anything. So this one should be a breeze. But I'm going to get that set up, get the camera set up, and record some bench press. Just finished up the working set on bench press. Worked up to 135 by 5. Again, not a super strenuous workout today for bench press. But before we move on to deadlift, which is my next lift, I just want to bring up the importance of mechanics, form, technique, what have you. I'm not the strongest athlete. I don't fancy myself competitive or even remotely good at this as far as, raw total is concerned. But what I've really focused in a lot throughout my lifting exploration career is form and mechanics. And even though I don't lift the heaviest, I like to think that I have good form. Now, nothing in this video is meant to be given as lifting advice. I encourage everyone to seek out professional critique on form, whether that's through forums or personal interaction with trained athletes or even live in-person coaching. That's always going to trump internet advice from YouTube videos without having seen your form. But I think there's a lot of ego generally in lifting, and I think a lot of people rush to put on a lot of heavy weight before they even solidify their form. And a couple of things happen when you do that. Number one is you cheat yourself out of a lot of good strength. If you guys go to big box gyms at all, you may have noticed, or you may be even guilty of this too, that when you're doing squats or when you're watching someone do squats, that they might come down a quarter of the way, maybe halfway, but very rarely do they go all the way ass to grass and break parallel between their hips getting below their knees. Those are called half reps, quarter reps, or as I like to say, no reps. And as bad as it sounds, when I used to go to a big box gym before I got my own equipment, I'd see people doing this. They'd put like 2 plates on, that's 225, all the way up to like 295, 300, 315, 3 plates. And they'll just be cranking out these little quarter reps and barely moving their knees, or they'll be doing it on the Smith machine, which has like the guides, right? The sliding guides up and down, and just knocking out 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Get full range of motion. Give yourself a chance to actually get better at the lift. God gave you these beautiful legs. You might as well use them to their fullest extent. Get your ass to the grass and do a full squat. Same thing with bench press. You'll see guys they'll sit down at the bench and then just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So get that bar really down there to your chest and fully extend it. Get that full rep. And so again, even though my form probably isn't terrific compared to a professional's, but even though I'm not the strongest weightlifter, I give my body that full range of motion to get the maximum benefit out of the lift. Because otherwise, what's the point? Who are you lying to? The people in the gym really don't care. All those girls you're hooking up with on Tinder, they don't really care. Even your buddies who you train with, they probably don't even care, you know, how much you're lifting. It's really just you who cares. It's really just your ego getting in the way of it. You know, you want to say, yeah, bro, I bench press 215. I get my 2 plates up there. Yeah, you do at a quarter of a rep. Again, this is a universal you. I'm not talking to everyone. I'm really just documenting my own justifications for this channel. So if you do get into strength training or weightlifting, make sure you're giving yourself full range of motion and find the proper channels to find people who will critique your form and give you good, honest advice. Get your ego out of the door. Get your ego out of the way, Get your ego out of the way, lower the weights, get good form, proper mechanics, save your knees and your joints a lot of ache, and then build up the weight when your body's ready to handle it. All right, just finished up my set of deadlift, working up to 225. It's pretty far below my 1RM and my 5RM. It wasn't too challenging, but I could definitely feel myself still not at the ability that I was at maybe 6 weeks ago when I injured my knee. Slowly getting back. But before I move on to press, I want to leave you guys with a few parting thoughts. Again, this video and probably subsequent videos, they're not meant to give you guys expert advice on every single interest that I'm pursuing. It's more just to show you that even if you're in tech or in education or in law or you're a student or you're a gamer or whatever your career happens to be, that it's okay to get started with something outside of that area. I know in my own life, I used to be really afraid of failure, and it prevented me from pursuing a lot of things that I found interesting or that I thought might be interesting. And it stopped me more so from even just displaying those to my friends, families, or strangers. So it doesn't have to be weightlifting, it doesn't have to be swimming or biking or whatever it is, but it should be something, you know, whatever you're into, just get going with it. And it's okay to be an amateur. If you don't plan on being a pro, that's fine. If you don't plan on perfecting it, that's fine. Even if you don't plan on sticking with it for an extended period of time, that's fine too. Just get going with something and see what your body's capable of. There's a quote by Socrates that really stuck with me, and it's, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." Great quote. I love it. You were gifted both a body and a mind, and both should be trained. to the fullest extent that you can fit it into your schedule and give it a real fair shake. So I'm gonna finish up with my set of press over here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.